Hello, good afternoon. I hope all of y'all had a great day at Putnam Middle School today. I want to welcome you to Coach Horn's educational video produced by Jeff Meadows. From Timbuktu to Honolulu, these tips will help you so that you know what to do in your classroom. Today we'll be talking about information from chapters 7 and 8 on professional learning communities. So don't worry, if you miss anything, you will be given a video. A video will be made available to you. The views expressed in this video do not necessarily reflect my views, but I'm pretty sure they do reflect the views of Kathy Moore, our counselor. So let's get started.
It blossoms when people feel connected rather than isolated. We must be willing to engage with one another and commit to one another. Working in a PLC means you never again have to face the challenges of teaching alone. Everyone has someone to turn to and talk to when confronted with the difficulties of teaching. Everyone has colleagues with whom and from whom they can learn from. Everyone operates within a built-in system of accountability because everyone is expected to contribute. Richard Elmore argues that the existing structure of schools fosters teacher isolation and serves to buffer teachers from accountability for what takes place in their classrooms. Teacher evaluations are almost always done superficially and half-heartedly. They are rarely called upon to provide concrete evidence of what they are teaching, how they are assessing, the criteria they use in determining the quality of student work, the factors considered in determining the student's grade, and the degree to which their students are acquiring the intended knowledge and skills. A group of teachers together on a regular basis does not make them a team. Asking them to work on the same task doesn't make them a team. Even working towards the same goal doesn't necessarily make them a team.
Hey, Ms. Moore, how you doing?
Hey, Venetia, how you?
Fine, just reading this book of mine. It's called Heaven. It's a good book. What are you reading?
Oh, by Angela Johnson. I love that book. Well, I'm reading a book entitled Revisiting Professional Learning Communities at Work. And it's really very interesting. You want to know what it's about?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's about working in a professional learning community. And one of the chapters that I found really interesting is a chapter entitled Assessment in a Professional Learning Community. And maybe you can kind of help me with this one because it talks about kids and taking tests. Do you like taking tests?
No, I don't like taking tests.
What do you not like about them?
Or assessments. I don't like taking
You think they're really hard? Well, what I like about this particular chapter is that it talks about how when kids take tests, also known as assessments, there are some things that we should try to do, such as try to find a way that our assessments as a school look and feel kind of like the same way across the curriculum. Do you think that would help if you went to all of your classes and the test kind of felt the same way in each class? Like if we all decide we're going to do essay, we'll stick to essay. Or if we all do multiple choice, which one you like most, essays or multiple choice?
multiple choice.
Okay, so if you say, okay, I like a multiple choice test, then if we decided as a staff of teachers to just do multiple choice tests, then that would be something like, for example, we would do. You know what I'm saying? Some of the other things I found very interesting about this particular chapter was that it talks about how sometimes we should avoid just giving tests on just little bits of nothing. You ever had a test where it had a whole bunch of stuff on there and some of it wasn't really that relevant to what the chapter was talking about?
Yeah.
Tell me an example.
Like they would ask me, they'll ask me like about something else about the book. Like the book would be talking about something that happened, and they'll ask me about something else, like a word or something.
Okay, so you don't feel like that's always very relevant. Well, you know, in this particular chapter, it talks basically about how we need to avoid having tests that just have a lot of different questions about a very broad topic, and we should kind of limit our tests to just a small portion that really is significant in that particular book or text. We also should have a clear and concise idea of what we're trying to teach you guys. So do you feel like we always are clear and concise, or you're clear about what you're learning in school?
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Well, I learned a lot in school.
Okay, but do you understand the objectives and what you're supposed to learn in every class? Well, that means we're doing an outstanding job because, you know, I can remember as a kid, Kanisha, how sometimes I wasn't too sure at all what I was supposed to be learning. Well, in this particular book, especially in chapter 8, it talks about how we should have a clear and concise picture of what the students need to know and how we need to go about teaching them what they need to know, like a roadmap or a plan. We also should have tests that are balanced. Like, for example, you shouldn't have a 200 question test in a 40-minute span of time. You know what I'm saying? So we should have enough information just to cover that particular amount of time for that particular amount of information that was learned. We also have some assessments that should also be open, because there are lots of different ways to see lots of different things, aren't there? And we should also be able to have a routine to solve these different types of tests. We should be able to have tests that should be useful not only for you guys, but for the teachers as well, because sometimes, you know, we have to make sure we understand in our roadmap what exactly we're trying to teach you and what you need to be retaught. Do you think you need to be retaught sometimes?
Sometimes when you might don't get it, you might be
So do you think reteaching and retesting is important? I think so too. I really enjoyed this book. Do you think that you give enough feedback when you take tests or assessments?
Yes, ma'am.
You do? So tell me how you get your feedback back in class. It went from you to the teacher.
When I take a test in class and I get my feedback, I would think that, like, if I failed, I don't think if I failed the test, if I did good or not, I would probably ask the teacher, well, I was trying and did a lot about the test. Well, probably we can retake it.
So there are some, like, for example, I didn't understand number 5. So could you tell me why this answer should be what it is? You mean like that?
Yes, ma'am.
That's exactly it, that we should have you to help us teach you how to learn. You know, another thing that I like about this book and this chapter in particular is that it kind of tells us that we have to find ways to reach every student, whether the student is a high achiever or a low achiever. Which one do you see yourself as? A high achiever, in other words, a person who just gets the information from the front door, is so easy for you, or sometimes a lower achiever, a person that struggles a little bit more? Or are you in the middle?
I'm like in the middle.
Okay. You know, I think most students are in the middle. But I think as teachers and as a professional learning community, we have to learn how to create some quality assessments. Girl, did you know that there are 2 types of tests that kids get, and they're called formative assessments and summative assessments, but perhaps the best one is the formative assessment.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know that?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know that?
Because it's different assessments.
So you're gonna, I guess you could assume, between one of them you're getting either the formative or the summative, right? Well, one thing about it, the formative assessment allows us to accurately understand what exactly it is that you're learning. We get to give you information in advance so that you can make sure that you understand, again, the roadmap that we're taking. I like it where it says, for example, right here on page 206 in this book, and like I said, this is one of my favorite professional books that I've read in a long time. It says that formative assessments allow us to engineer effective classroom discussions, questions, and learning tasks. And it also provides specific feedback that moves you guys, the learners, forward. I think that's outstanding.